Hey guys, welcome back. This is History of Power Rangers Season 3, Episode 2 of my show, but this is about Episode 1 of Season 3. Now, Episode 1 in Season 3 is Part 1 in the 3-part episode, A Friend in Need. Now, but before I start talking about it, I just want to mention something very quickly beforehand. I'm sorry I didn't post a video on July 2nd or 3rd. I would have did it on the 2nd, but I figured it was the day after Canada Day and I had just posted 2 videos, so I figured take 2 days off before I uploaded the next one. Anyway, but that's the only thing I wanted to mention, why I didn't upload the past 2 days, and for that, I'm sorry. But enough getting off topic. This is History of Power Rangers Season 3, Episode 2 of my show, but this is about Episode 1 of Season 3. Now, as I said, Episode 1 is Part 1 in the 3-part episode, A Friend in Need. Now, basically, the way this episode starts off is the episode starts off by showing. It doesn't start on Earth because what basically happens is in this beginning part of this episode, it shows up on a bleak planet that's like a reddish gray, kind of like a Mars-based planet, and then one of these and the planet that it takes place on at the beginning is known as Edenoid. Now I'm going to explain a bit more about Edenoid when I get into the segment with Alpha's character. But anyway, basically what happens is the Edenites, which are the humanoid race that live on Edenoid, are digging in the ground. Now, the reason why they're digging is mainly because of their planet being enslaved in this 3-part episode, and I'll explain who they're being enslaved by. It's not really slavery, but it's like the one that's causing trouble on Edenoid, like oppressing the people on that planet in this episode are minions of the one known as Count Dragon, also known in as the quote-unquote Lord of Evil. Now, I'm going to explain more about Count Dragon later when I get into the part with Rita and Zed, because this is actually going to sound kind of funny, but I'll explain later. Basically what happens is one of the people that are wearing masks tells Lexian that he sees another one of Dragon's plague patrol, and then he'd like to get his hands on him, but then Lexian is basically telling him patience Dex. Now I'm gonna explain who Dex is before I and who Lexian is. I'll explain who Lexian is first when I get into the segment with Alpha. But basically, one of the members of the Plague Patrol that's there is that fools. The more they dig in the ground, the more they hasten digging in the ground to dig up the toxins. Only hastens their planet's destruction. And then it fades into a scene where it shows up on Earth, and then Alpha is feeling a little depressed, like he says, in a depressed kind of way. And then Zordon is asking him to tell him what's wrong with him, because how can he not help him if he doesn't know what's troubling Alpha? And then basically Alpha says that he doesn't think Zordon can help. He probably thinks that no one can. And now the reason why he's being a little depressed about it is, I'll explain later when after I finish the portion with Zordon here. Zordon is telling Alpha that basically he should at least try to talk about it. Maybe if he knows what's getting him down, maybe he can find some way to help him. And then Alpha tells Zordon that he's right, and then basically he tells Zordon that he was monitoring the galactic scanner when he picked up a distress signal from the planet Edenoid. Now I'm going to explain more about Edenoid right here, because this plays into why Alpha was depressed. You see, technically in this series, Edenoid was the planet Alpha 5 was created on. So technically that's his home planet. So, and when Zordon hears that part of it, when Alpha tells him that he picked up the distress signal coming from the planet Edenoid, Zordon basically tells him that his home planet, and no wonder he's so upset. And he explains that and then he tells Alpha that he's well aware of the fact that his memory banks contain fond memories of his time on Edenoid, which, honestly, in my personal opinion, I'm getting off topic here, but that makes sense for him to have a lot of memories from that planet in his memory banks, because that was the planet he was created on. So technically, it's like his home. So, and then basically, he explains to Zordon that there's more to it than that. The planet's leader, who's known as King Lexian, was the one who created him and brought him to life, basically. So essentially, since he was Alpha's creator, he was sort of like his father sort of thing. So so going by that logic, it's understandable why he was depressed. And then basically what happens is, he tells Zordon that he's worried about Lexian and the people of Edenoid, and then he wonders if they can do something. But Zordon tells him that Edenoid is very far away. For now, all they can do is to monitor the situation and and see if everything's okay. And then basically Alpha says in a depressive way to Zordon, he's like, Zordon, I just know somewhere in the pit of my electrode that something is terribly wrong. And then it goes to the scene where Count Dragon is attacking the planet again. And now I'm going to explain something here before I continue. His base of operations is sort of this mobile assault base that's sort of shaped like a sort of creature that's sort of similar to some sort of like spider creature. I say spider, but it's not, because it's more like I don't know what it is. I want the episode, but it's like some kind of attack ship. And now the reason why I'm bringing the ship up is because basically what happens is, at this point in the episode, Zed then uses his visor to look, but he doesn't use the visor to look at the Earth. He looks at where Count Dragon's spider attack ship is, and then he's like, oh, just a luck. Why of all people did it have to be him? And then Rita shows up, and then she's like, hey, Zed, you're slipping. The Earth is down there. And then Zed gets, it's not that he's not interested in the Earth. It's more like he's worried because of Count Dragon, because he's like, who cares about the Earth? right now, that pain in my neck, Count Dragon is causing trouble in another portion of the galaxy and is about to conquer a planet. And then Rita says that he wonders what he's talking about, and then Zed explains that he and his spider attack base are blasting some planet to rubble in the Andromeda sector. And then Rita says that that's a good thing because she likes Count Dragon because he's evil and stuff like. And then basically, now I'm gonna explain something with Zed here because this is kind of funny because it was stated in this first episode. He's like, you know how before I continue, I just want to mention something. The reason why he gets annoyed with it is not because of the Earth or anything, but it's because Count Dragon is causing trouble in the Andromeda sector. And because the main reason why is it's funny because apparently Zed hates Count Dragon more than he hates the Power Rangers, and the reason why is because he's sort of a rival of his, which is kind of funny because as Zed states after that, well, I hate him. I hate him more than I hate those Power Rangers. And, now I'm gonna explain the reason why he hates them. It's because, from as far back as he can remember, Count Dragon has always tried to basically one-up him, which in this case means be more evil than he is, so it's sort of a rivalry kind of thing, which, honestly, I can understand why he'd be a little annoyed in the episode that his spider attack base is just causing havoc on a planet far away from Earth, and since they're sort of rivals when it comes to evil and stuff, it makes sense. I'm just getting that out of the way there. That's just my opinion about it, and, then Zed explains that they can't even destroy one mangy planet. And then Rita explains that after that, well, because Zed is feeling depressed about them not having conquered the Earth, and because of Count Dragon causing trouble in the Andromeda Galaxy, with his spider base, that this spider base that they can't, because of the Power Rangers protecting the Earth, they haven't been able to conquer the planet, whereas his spider base is blasting evenly to rubble in the Andromeda sector, which is understandable why he would be a little annoyed because of them having a rivalry of sorts. And basically, that's when Rita explains that Finster's been working on a monster that would be able to destroy the Power Rangers and conquer the Earth all at the same time. And then basically, Zed makes a bit of a joke about that. Like, he's like, since when have any of Finster's monsters been able to walk and chew gum at the same time? Which basically, in a sense, he's saying that Finster's previous monsters have all been... Basically, what he's saying is that his monsters have all been failures up to this point. Which is... Oh my god! Which is so hilarious! It's so hilarious! Anyway, basically what happens is, after that, then it goes to this scene where the Rangers are back on Earth, and basically, Aisha is talking to Kimberly on the phone, because in this episode, she's not with them because she has a cold, basically. And then, afterward, what basically happens is, um, after they finish talking, and then, Aisha tells Kimberly to get some rest and drink lots of fluids, because that's what you're supposed to do when you're sick, is, rest and drink lots of fluids and so on and so forth. And then after that, she hangs up on, she says goodbye, and then, Kimberly manages to tell her to say hi to the guys for her, and then basically, then she hangs up the phone on her end, and then basically, she gives the phone back to Ernie, and then basically what happens is after that, she thanks Ernie for letting her use the phone to call Kim in order to check on her because of the flu that she has, and then, Ernie is saying that he's glad he could do it, and then basically, Tommy, Adam, and Rocky are training, and then basically that's when Billy shows up in the youth center, and then he tells them that he was contacting Alpha to basically check on the new chip that he installed into the communicators to make them work over long distances, kind of thing, which basically means communicating over long distances. And then Billy said that Alpha sounded different than he did before, and then they're wondering what he means by that, and then basically he explained that he couldn't exactly tell it because he was a robot, but he sounded like he was depressed, and then the Rangers think that maybe he's lonely, so they decide to go visit him there, because he's more than just, and because one of them mentions that he's more than just a robot to them, he's like family kind of thing, which kind of makes sense, because by this point in the series, they had been with Zordon and Alpha for a while, so essentially, it would make sense for them to feel that way, and then they decide to go visit him, and then basically, in the next scene, what basically happens is, after that they manage to show up. In the next scene, they show up in the command center after that. Oh, but before I continue, I just want to mention something pertaining to Bulk and Skull here. Basically, this is going to be one of the last episodes where they try to, in the early segments of the Power Rangers series, where they try to find the Power Rangers. Now, the reason why I say that is because these two girls talk about the Power Rangers and then wanting to meet them and stuff, and then basically, after that, Bulk overhears what they're talking about, and then he wonders what they're talking about, and so he asks Skull, and then Skull makes a couple of suggestions about that. And then he says that no, and he tells them that it's about the Power Rangers and so on and so forth. Anyway, but I'm gonna get back into them later. I just wanted to bring them up now because it causes a bit of a funny thing that's gonna happen I think in the next part of, actually, I think that part with Bulk and Skull actually comes into effect in the next video I'm gonna talk about. So I'm gonna skip over that part. Actually, I'm not gonna skip over it, but anyway, as I was saying with Bulk and Skull, when Skull hears about Bulk saying about the Power Rangers, he stops him because he doesn't want to go looking for them because he's had it up to here with looking for them, and then he explains that that's the idea, they don't have to look for them, they already found them, so he points to him and Bulk, and then basically they tell this fib that the two girls overhear about where the Power Rangers are, and then basically the girls use that as an opportunity to try to find them to see if they can find the Power Rangers. Now, I just wanted to mention that before I got back into the portion with the monster. The only reason I brought it up is because it kind of plays into a funny scene with the monster and everything. I'll explain more about that in the next episode, in the next video I do. But anyway, basically what happens is, getting back into the segment with the Rangers, what basically happens is the rest of the Rangers, aside from Kimberly, are in the command center, and then they see that that Alpha's homeworld has been disturbed. The soil has been disturbed, basically meaning that there is trouble on the planet. And then basically Alpha says that he knew something was wrong, and then they're wondering what they can do about where Edenoid is. And then Zordon explains that Edenoid is far away in the Andromeda sector of the galaxy, which is farther away from Earth than they have fine on their planet. And they're wondering about who the people on the planet are, which as I explained are called the Edenites. And then basically what happens is the rest of the Rangers, aside from Kimberly at this point, because as I stated before, has this sickness, like she's got a cold in this episode too, so that basically means that she can't go with them. But the five of them basically decide to go to Alpha's homeworld to check on the situation, and Zordon basically tells them that he agrees with them to do that, but if their planet is in trouble, they should come right back. And then basically they decide to morph to get to Edenoid, and Alpha tells them to be careful because he wouldn't be happy if anything would have happened to them, because they're his friends as well, so it makes sense. And then basically they morph to their Ranger forms, and then they basically use the jetting maneuver that was introduced in the previous season I talked about to basically transport to Edenoid. And then they managed to land on the planet, and then after they land there, they get a look at what's happening on the planet. And then basically Billy tells Adam and the others that according to the data that Zordon gave them, and they see the people on Edenoid basically with the masks on, and Adam, I can't remember which one it is, but I think it might have been either Adam or Rocky that asks Billy what they're doing with those masks on. And then basically Billy tells them that according to Zordon's data, this part of the planet, the part of the planet of Edenoid that they're on, is covered with noxious gases that could dangerously harm the planet, basically. And that's when the Edenites, in this case, by that I mean Prince Dex and his four friends, they start attacking the Rangers, mainly because they think Dragon sent them to their world. And then after a little bit of confusion, but Dragon didn't send them because Alpha sent them, but they don't know that at the time. So it's a case of mistaken identity kind of thing. And then they start fighting, and then by that point, Dragon is looking at the people that the Masked Rider is fighting, and then basically they're wondering, and one of his henchmen is wondering if they should just let the Masked Rider be defeated by them and then take the power from them. But then I think the one that is talking to the most is called Double Face. He mentions that if that does happen, they would get the Masked Rider's powers for themselves. And then basically Dragon says that can happen. And then the Rangers are still fighting the Edenoids, and then basically, Aisha mentions that they only came here because Alpha asked them to, and then, one of them in the gas mask, which I think is female, says that when she overhears Alpha, she's surprised by that, and then after that, Dragon keeps blasting the planet, and then basically what happens is, after that, the prince and his friends are saying that even Dragon wouldn't be so foolish as to attack his own soldiers, and then that's when Rocky tells them that that's what they've been trying to tell them. They just came here to help, but they've been getting fired at ever since they first arrived here, which is kind of funny, and then they're wondering how they got there, and then the Rangers explain that they were sent by Alpha to check on the condition of their planet and then report back, and then when they hear that Alpha is a friend of theirs, they say that they're also friends, so they decide to basically retreat to another part of the planet, basically, which is a cave where they hide, and then basically Dex, who said that once again they are safe to fight him another time, and then by that he's talking to Dragon, and that's basically where this episode stops, because now the reason why I say it stops there is because this is a 3-part episode, so I don't want to talk about too much about the second part until the next part, but until the next video, just please give this video the real best you guys can, and I will see you guys probably sometime tomorrow for the next video. So until next time, guys, like I always tell you with this series, may the power protect you always.